Hello, my name is Chris and I'm a U-Haul hitch professional. If you're planning on towing a trailer with your Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport, then you're going to need trailer wiring. It is required by the law. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at how we completed this install. You will need the following tools or supplies to complete this installation. Begin with the hatch open and remove your floorboard. We're now going to remove the rear scuff panel. I have put on a pair of work gloves because it is sharp underneath. Use a trim panel tool to pry up on the leverage points. If one of your trim clips falls out, it can simply be slid back into place. Remove one T30 Torx fastener hiding behind this cargo hook. Use your trim panel tool to release the vehicle's trim from the body. Remove two fasteners from the bottom of your trim using a T50 Torx bit. We can now gently pull the trim away from the body of the vehicle and gain access to the electrical connection. However, on this trim, the knockout that's right here in the corner is not there. We would normally reach in and be able to gain access easily. This is a little bit harder, so I'm going to show you an alternate way. We're going to remove the tail light. Remember a glove to hold on to the trim, and we're going to have to reach in and remove this plastic wing nut. We can now pull the tail light away from the vehicle. You can now gain access to the red locking tab so that we can depress the black tab underneath and remove the electrical connector. Now repeat this process for the passenger side. You will need to remove the foam that holds the jack and hardware. There are two trim clips you can remove with a flathead screwdriver. There is a second trim clip at the forward end of the foam. We're now ready to connect the wire harness. Make sure the yellow and brown connector goes on the driver's side. We're going to go ahead and pass the wire to where we can access it. Just go ahead and reach in and pull it out. Now connect the mating end. Now depress the red tab. And now pass this end back out the taillight cavity. Now reconnect the taillight so you don't lose the wire back in the vehicle. You can now return the spring-loaded bolt. We can now connect the red and green wire on the passenger side. We're going to go ahead and bring it over there and repeat that process. And when we return our scuff panel later on, we'll be able to hide some of this excess wire. You can now return the spring-loaded bolt. Now tuck the wires under the corners of the trim panel so they can be returned to the vehicle body. We're now ready to install our power wire. I'm going to use the U-Haul exclusive Power Wire 1 that comes with OEM grade weatherproofing and abrasion resistance. So for that reason, I want to run from the engine backwards to utilize every bit of it. Locate the brake master cylinder where you fill your brake fluid. Find your hard metal brake lines. They're going to go down and back to the rear of the vehicle behind the battery. So let's take a fishing pole and pass it down and bring the wire back up. Underneath the vehicle, use a 10mm socket and an extension to remove plastic nuts holding this trim by hand. Now tape the fused lead end to your fishing pole and pull it back up to the engine compartment. Now pass the wire behind any existing components or electrical lines, following the vehicle body around to the fuse panel. You can go underneath the fuse bracket. Now open your fuse cover by depressing the two tabs. You can now install your fuse holder on any one of these power posts. Our ring terminal only fits on this one, so we need a 10mm socket to remove the nut. Once loosened, you can now move the power post out of the way and slip the ring terminal over the post, and then reaffix the vehicle's power post. Make a small notch in the fuse cover to allow the power wire to pass through. You may also want to make a small notch here to avoid pinching the power wire. Now replace the fuse cover. Now connect the fuse holder, and after we route the power wire, we will return to replace the fuse. But for now, let's cover that hot end with the cover. Now use provided zip ties to secure the wiring to all the electrical wires that we hid it behind. You can now route the power wire rearward following the hard metal brake lines. You'll need to use your 10mm socket and extension to lower several plastic trim nuts on the underbody panel. Once you reach the rear of the vehicle, go over any frames, cross members, avoid any springs and hot parts. With the wire underneath the rear driver's side, we can now pull back on the trim panel and access the rubber grommet. Use a pair of needle nose pliers to grab the grommet and push it forward without losing it and then pulling it back out. You can now drill a hole through the center using a 3/16 drill bit. Make sure to pass your power wire through the bottom and out the back. Now insert the power wire into the vehicle, being sure to angle it to the rear so it will be easier to find behind the trim panel. You can now reseat the grommet. If you have trouble pulling it into place with your pliers, you may need to reach in from the inside and push it into place. Don't forget to replace the trim if it was present on your vehicle. For this installation, our customer would prefer to keep the 4-flat in the vehicle. If you want to mount it on a bracket, U-Haul has you covered at your nearest local U-Haul hitch center, or you can order one from the link in the description below. All you need to do is route the 4-flat through the previously discussed grommet. Rather than drilling a hole, cut a slit through it to the center and pass the wires through. You can now connect your power wire. Because this is on the interior of the vehicle, we're going to use a lever action butt connector. You can now mount the white wire to the vehicle body using the self-tapping screw. You can now hide your converter box using the double-sided sticky tape. We're going to reach in behind our trim panel and affix it to the vehicle body behind this area here. Lift up on your trim panel, again being careful not to cut your hands. You can affix the converter box to the vehicle body here, near the tow hook, and still have room to reinsert the trim. You can now reaffix the trim to the vehicle body. Once you've fixed your weather stripping seal, you will be able to give a light touch and push the trim backward. Now replace the vehicle's jack and hardware, being sure to keep the strap accessible to tie the jack back. If your vehicle has an electrical harness through here, You can zip tie this wire to that electrical harness. As you can see, we do not have one. So we're going to go ahead and coil up a small amount of the wires. Keep it just snug enough so when we return the scuff panel, they will stay behind it. The scuff panel has 6 tabs along the side that need to be aligned with the slot down here in the vehicle body. As well, the 6 trim clips will need to be aligned in the top. Ensure that you cannot pull the side of the scuff panel away from the vehicle body, ensuring the 6 downward clips are in. Once they're in, you can gently tap the scuff panel into place. And finally, fix the weather stripping. Your vehicle wires can now be stretched out to a trailer. The weather stripping will keep them safe as long as you avoid the center clip that locks the door. When you're finished using them, you can coil them back up. Use the dust cover as a reusable tie. And now keep them stored by your spare tire until you need to use them. Now return your floorboard and insert the fuse in the fuse holder under the engine compartment. That concludes trailer wiring for your Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to practice safe trailering, and I can't wait to see you out there. If you have any questions about the products seen in this video, or if you'd like to schedule an installation with your local U-Haul hitch professional, please visit us online at uhaulhitches.com. You can also download the U-Haul app using the link in the description for even more ways to manage your hitch and towing needs.